BFM Business, Tout pour Investir. Lorraine Goumot.
You're watching the program that takes care of your money and helps you become a better investor. We're live on the radio, on TV, on the web. Also catch us on podcast. Hello to all of you listening to us in France and elsewhere. It's time to talk about investments, but not as you might know them. We're going to look at the gamification of finance, and our guest today is Damien Roux. Hello, Damien. Thank you for joining us. Damien is the CEO of Drimify, and he's here to tell us more about the gamification of savings and finance. We were just talking about ETF and cryptocurrencies. Now, with your expertise, you've looked into this subject for us, considering whether gamification can change the way we think about finance, the amounts we gamble, and also our relationship with institutional or disruptive players. First question, can you give us some examples of successful gamification in finance, the stock market, and crypto?
Yes, absolutely. I suppose one of the best-known examples is what American Express has actually been doing for a very long time. When people spend money with their American Express cards, they earn points in exchange. That's a basic principle or mechanism of gamification, rewarding a customer for carrying out a desired action.
You say basic mechanisms because, in fact, when you think about it, it's quite a simple concept. There are game mechanisms that are found in many practical cases. Could you give us more examples?
The best-known ones are pretty much anything based on points. So offering points is the first one. There's also the progress bar mechanism. We also see a lot of badges in a lot of practical, well-known cases. For example, at TripAdvisor, as soon as you start writing reviews, you start earning badges. There are ranking tables too. It's all about creating and fostering engagement, perhaps creating a feeling of competitiveness, which will encourage people to take more action. That's what gamification is all about, really, user engagement. You're finding the trigger that will encourage people to do what you want them to do, that will get them to buy something, to learn something, to go somewhere.
More engagement. A part of gamification, then, for finance could include putting a slightly more attractive interface on engaging in financial education in the first place. Would you say that's the goal of gamification?
100%. But it's important to state that creating this engagement is just the first step. Then there's the awareness raising and education part, which is really a big reason why we use gamification, because it's more effective at passing on concepts and messages to people, whether it's for marketing or financial education, but all in a fun way. And because it's fun, it's memorable. Because we know very well that, for example, if we take the example of a baby plays before it even knows how to walk. So that's where gamification is actually hardwired into human nature and facilitates this positive communications.
Gamified finance or gamified savings is particularly aimed at younger investors. There's this sort of, you're caught up in the game, and then you're going to trade more securities, for example, and put more and more money in. But do we have any figures? Do we spend, save, or invest more with the game than with a standard interface that isn't gamified?
So you don't necessarily, because it really depends on each person. At the end of the day, if you're a big spender, you'll be a big spender. If you're a big saver, you'll save a lot. So let's say that in any case, gamification will enable you to make much more informed decisions, because through this financial education, you'll understand a little better what you're doing. So when you do invest, you're more informed, you're making educated decisions.
Investors from Gen Z and Gen Y don't like to put money into things they don't understand. How can gamification be used to promote transparency?
The fact is, through these training and educational levers, you're going to be able to explain things to people in a fun and as such engaging way. Why invest? Why can this product do that? What are its advantages? What are its drawbacks? And because you're not presenting this in a PDF or in a dull format that people won't want to read, and you're gamifying it and making financial education fun, it will help achieve better results.
In the United States, Robinhood obviously has the monopoly when it comes to gamification on the stock market, but we're also talking about LearnVest and Venmo, among others. Are there any French or European outfits who are doing well and who have caught your attention as gamification specialists?
Yes, there are some. For example, Capital has an app that gives you a progress bar as you save. But I'd say that's not really going very far down the gamification route. We'd like to see a bit more interaction. So there are some examples, but really we're at the ground floor of gamification in finance. There's still a lot of work to be done, and there are a lot of interesting things that can be developed and built around it.
What do you think they're working on? We're seeing traditional banking firms acquire fintechs with fun interfaces, or at least with interfaces that are a little nicer looking than traditional banking interfaces. What's the aim behind these moves? Is it to change their image and be seen as a less conservative group?
So it's mainly about improving their image, not necessarily changing it, but improving it. But above all, it's about enabling people to better understand their services and create interactions, which is super important. Today, you open your bank's mobile application, you check your balance, you make a transfer, but not much else happens. With gamification, you can create a sense of competition and foster the conditions to make people want to reopen the app.
Largely, it's really all about engagement then, and spending more time learning about saving and investing to get better results. Thank you for joining us. Damien Roux, CEO of Drimify. That concludes this episode of Tout Pour Investir. Thank you to the team for preparing the show, and thank you for your messages.
Drimify.